What's going on, guys? I am back for a special video. We're going to talk about the good and the bad of this Fusion tournament coming up by Johnnyboi and Civic. And honestly, before we even start, it's mostly good. I just wanted to have a discussion with you guys about this tournament and break it down for you as well. But I just want to get it out there right away. It's going to be titled The Good and the Bad of the Fusion tournament. It'll make you come in, but there is some bad, but we'll get to that after the good. And let's just talk about what this tournament is. Today is actually the last day of signups for the qualifier, which I think the way he's doing it is fantastic. It is the perfect roster mania fuel that everyone needs right now, because the way you sign up is you have to tweet publicly to Johnnyboi with a hashtag, which one is genius, because then people are starting to use the hashtag for the tournament. Fantastic. Johnnyboi probably get more followers, more people signing up that way. Super smart. Super smart. But it also allows everyone else to see the tweets. And that's how you get the roster mania fuel that we've been seeing with all these rosters switching up, like Pittsburgh Knights and like a million others, which we'll probably have a whole separate video about roster mania coming up shortly. But great way for these signups to start. But let's talk about what this tournament is really quick. $25,000 on the line for North America and South America, which is another huge positive. South America teams can sign up on the North America side, so it gives some opportunities for them. On the European side, $25,000, as well as the Middle East. They can also sign up there. So it gives some exposure to the Middle East teams as well, which is fantastic. That is what you always want to see. So another huge positive for the Fusion tournament. Now, the way it works is, here's where it gets a little bit sketchy, but we'll talk about the bad of it like a little bit later. Teams can be 3 or 4 players, because the way it works is you have to have a team to field for 1v1, 2v2, 3v3. And you can field the same person in all 3. So, say Vitality. Fairy Peak could play in 1s, 2s, and 3s with his teammates K-Dop and Alpha. Maybe Fairy Peak and K-Dop or something like that, or Fairy Peak and Alpha in 2s, and then all 3 of them in 3s. So you could do that. Or you could do the G2 approach, where they were just recently looking for a 1s main player to sign up to play the 1s portion while they'll focus in on the 2s and 3s. So there's different ways to go about it. Now, I think that is pretty much not a good or a bad. Like, there's been a lot of talk on Twitter, mostly from Scrub Killer, where he's like, having a 4th for 1v1 just defeats the entire purpose of the format, which is to test team in all modes. And I think Scrub is kind of reaching a little bit. Johnnyboi never said we're looking for the best team across all modes. He's just putting out a tournament. He's putting out a tournament where we're going to have a mixture of 1s, 2s, and 3s. I don't know if he really cares. I think it could be better that you can just throw in some 1s players to showcase their talents if you so choose. And like, at the end of the day, one of the biggest pros for this tournament, it's just fun, man. 1s, 2s, and 3s, we're going to mix up the modes, going to have some fun, and we're going to have people just seeing new looks of Rocket League for some of these players. Like, we haven't seen a 2s tournament, high-profile 2s tournament in a long time. We rarely see 1s tournaments. We see a lot of 1s, like show matches and stuff like that on Johnnyboi's channel, but we haven't seen it this way. Plus, it could bring in more fans for 1s, where people are like, oh, it's G2 versus Rogue in 1s. I'm coming in as a G2 fan rooting for my boy J-Naps or something, who they think is going to play, but it's actually, no, it's their 4th player, and it just brings more viewers in for that. Now, again, some people will get a little bit disheartened by it, because, they're expecting it to be a G2 player, but hey, it is what it is. I don't think that's neither a pro or a con. Like, I think if he wanted to test just full teams, he would have made the roster size 3. But instead, he wants to make this more of a for fun tournament and just add some players in there. So, I would agree on the side of Rizzo that it's like, hey, why not give some 1s players some time to show their potential? Or, honestly, I wouldn't even go that far. I think it's more of just like, they don't want a 1s tournament where it's not a lot of 1s mains, and they just want to see a more competitive side of it. So, that's where I stand on that. The one that I forgot to get, which I'm going to look for right now, actually, we have it here, is another huge pro. I don't have the fancy graphic. I'm actually going to look for it really quick. Is the caster lineup is fantastic. Let's see if we can find it. No. I'll look for it real quick. But we can't find it right now, so sadly, we'll just go over here and we'll show you them instead. So you got Johnnyboi, Lawler, Leaf, Stumpy, Cole, Dazarin, Jorby, Shogun, CJ, and Yummy Cheeseman. Even OC's getting involved. They can't play in the tournament, but they can cast it. And that's exactly probably how CJ would like it, where he doesn't have to compete and he can just bash everyone else that competes. But I kid. But still, a great lineup of talent to talk over all these games, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So definitely check them out. A lot of talented guys there. Of course, bring back my boy Lawler as well, and some Stumpy and Cole action from the European side, as well as Dazarin getting a shot here. So really cool. And then the only people I didn't mention were Jorby and Leaf. And honestly, Jorby's great. Leaf I didn't mention on purpose. So let's continue. What else did I want to talk about here? Real quick. I'm just joking. I love Leaf. Try to see. So a lot of unique stuff coming across. The points across all modes is a really cool thing to just see who is the overall winner. We see first, if you come in first in a bracket, 17 points. 11 points for second. Third and fourth get 7, using all prime numbers. Johnny, we actually talked about that a little bit ago, and it's like trying to avoid ties as much as possible. But you see the bracket splits here. Each bracket, 1,500, 1,500 for the top 4. And then overall standings is where a lot more of the money is. I would say about half and half, because again, there's 3 of these. And this is where you get 4,500 for first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on and so on. The only issue I have, and here's where we'll transition to the bad side of it, is I think the bracket splits are kind of wonky, because if you're playing in a 3s bracket and you win $1,500, well, you really win $500. If you play in 1s and you win, you get $1,500 for first. Like, I could have seen him do more of like, all right, just divide it by 3 for 1s and divide it by 2 for 2s, and then use some of that extra money for the overall stand-ins, which I think is probably where you want the meat of the prize money anyway. But it's not a huge deal. It just comes down to, like, say G2 has a 2s and 3s teams, comes in first at 1,500. And then 1s, they also come in first. Their 1s player is going to make more than them, you know? So that's the only thing that's kind of weird, is that, say Johnnyboi plays in 2s and 3s and wins both, he would actually win less money than their 1s player, say he wins it. So that's kind of a little bit strange to me personally, but again, not a huge deal. Again, this is mostly good. We're just talking about a little bit bad. Now, my one major issue, and this is my one major flaw, is we talked about this point system, right? First, and then second, third, and fourth. How do you get to those spots? How do you form these brackets? Single elimination. This is the one thing I do not like about this tournament. Single elimination. How do you seed this? It's impossible to seed. You can seed based on what you think is correct, but then you don't know for sure. I'll take the Spring Series, where Rogue, they played G2. They were the 8th seed coming in. They lost. They made it all the way back to 3rd place. You won't get any of this here. And then it comes down to, really, do you get the luck of the draw for your quarterfinals matchup? Because that's the big matchup where, say you win, then you will start collecting points. If you lose, well, then you get 0 points. So that is the big matchup. And it could come down to, as long as you get a good draw. And the problem is like, I get why he's doing qualifiers this way. You want just 8 teams at the end, so they're all competing for points. But the qualifiers are a mixture of 1s, 2s, and 3s. So to qualify, you have to make sure you're pretty decent in all of them, which, again, like, I don't mind that. But the problem is then, how do you seed all the other tournaments? Say G2 has the best 1s player, but, well, actually, G2 is probably a bad example. Say, like, a lower-end team has a really good 1s player. 2s and 3s games is kind of weak, but they make it because 2 of their games are 1v1s. Do you seed them high in 1v1s, but then seed them low in 2v2 and 3v3? Like, how do you do that? Do you base it on, all right, the 4 teams that make it through the upper bracket to qualify, do they get to then, like, each one of them randomly gets to, like, draw a team or something like that? Or do you just randomize, like, the 4 upper brackets versus the 4 lower brackets in every single one of these quarterfinals? And then that's where it comes down to, where it could just be more a luck of the draw thing. Now, if you did this double elimination, I think that would be a lot better, because even if you do get a bad matchup in the quarterfinals, you can make a run. Like, as long as you're good. The only problem is, if you're the 4th best team, the worst that happens, and that's if obviously you win all the matches that you're supposed to, is if they got seeded 1, 2, 3, and 4 all in the quarterfinals, you would still come in last. Say you were the 4th place team. Well, it'd be 1, 4, 2, 3 or something like that, because that's the only way you would get last. And then it would also open up the door for more places for a differentiation, words, for points. Right now, there's only 3 spots for points where, you got first, you got second, and you got third and fourth that tie. So I think that would have been a cool way to do it. Now, of course, time is probably of the essence, and how do you fit in all these brackets? How is he doing exactly? Because I don't know if there's any dates yet on any of this. I think the closed qualifiers might have dates, but the brackets don't. But I could have seen like each weekend or something, which obviously might be hard depending on what's happening in the Rocket League scene, where you have the ones bracket for a full weekend, you have the twos bracket for a full weekend, and then the threes bracket for 3 weekends in a row of action. So then it could have been like a whole month where you get close qualifiers and then weekend. So 4 weekends in a row. But I think that's my one issue is I just wonder now, he might have somewhat of a solution for this of how is he going to set these brackets. And I would love to know it. So if you know, because I haven't seen him do his like Ask Me Anything about the Fusion tournament, just because I just haven't had time to watch it. Let me know what you guys what he said about that, because I assume that would have been a question coming up from someone. But I think that's the main issue is just single elimination. Everything else about this tournament, fantastic, and mostly this whole tournament, like at the end of the day, with the even these negatives, is like it's mostly for fun. It's not a ton of money, to be fair, for like say the big teams, because everything's split on so many levels. It's more of like, hey, we just want to showcase some games, 1s, 2s, and 3s, and I am perfectly okay with that. It's just when it comes down to where it's going to be a little bit random, it's like it hurts it a little bit for me. But again, very, very minor inconvenience. But I got to give him credit to him and Civic. This tournament looks fantastic. I'm so happy. The best thing about this tournament, and I'll say it again, is the public sign up, because there is nothing I hate more than when RLCS has a season and there's a roster lock date and it's all in private and we don't like announce the teams after the roster lock date passes, and we allow teams to just announce whenever they want to. Because then you get into situations like when Scrubgilla joined Mouse. He joined literally the day before the game started, even though everyone knew he was on there, and it just kind of like ruins it. Like, I just want, hey, if you want to announce, you better announce before the lock date, because we're going to announce everyone on the lock date. That's what I would love to happen. So that's why I love the public sign up. It's fantastic. So we'll have a roster mania video probably coming up in probably midweek or something like that. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. It depends when I have time to make it. But lots of roster shakeups right now. And right now, this is the big show. We don't know what's coming next. I assume we'll get announcements soonish, but who knows what that means, soon TM. But look out for more action for Rocket League, and definitely check out Johnnyboi's tournament here. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of great casters. It's going to be a lot of great teams. Hopefully we see some surprise teams come out of the qualifiers, because we didn't really even talk about that, but the qualifiers really, really quick is best of 5, where you do a 1v1, a 2v2, and a 3v3 match, which I'm not sure what order it's in. It might be opposite. Then whoever's losing in the bracket at the time, or like in that match, chooses the next mode. So they get to choose 1, 2v2, 3v3, or 1v1 once again. Then the last match is chosen by the opposite team. So then they get to choose what their specialty is. And that will result probably in a lot of series going to 5 games. Because if you have a specialist, or if you have a team that's really good in one of these modes, then you will win 2 games automatically before you're out. That's if you can win every single one, which is obviously not the case. But this will result in a lot more games going to 5 games, which will be a lot of fun to watch. But the qualifiers are going to be weird, man. They're definitely going to be weird. There's a very few teams that are actually trying to sign 1v1 players, which I think will be a huge benefit to those teams like G2. But who knows? Who knows what will happen? And I'm really excited to see, will we get a South American team? Will we get a Middle Eastern team in there? Everyone expects Sandrock Gaming to make it. But again, these qualifiers are going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. So we'll see what happens there. It's going to be a good time. Definitely go check it out. And when Johnnyboi sees this, I love you. Bye-bye.